Yo, what up guys, I'm Sammy and welcome back to the Soul Brothers channel, and we got official images and also tech specs of the Nike KD15. So shout out to Jesus Care for these leaks. I don't know how he got his hands on these pictures. But yeah, we got full, like all angles of the KD15, the outsole, a 45-degree angle, the lateral side, the medial side, the back, a top view, like we got all of it, and also we have some tech specs. But anyways, let's get it started off with the tracciones. In this color we have, it seems to be a semi-translucent outsole. And one thing that I do like about the design is that in the high wear areas, it seems to have a lot more rubber and a lot more surface area for more durability, right? And then on the non-high wear areas, there's less rubber, which makes sense, right? So high wear areas are basically where like the ball of your foot is, right? So if like right here is a high wear area, and also here in the heel around like this area of the heel, right? So of course when you're playing, most of the force is going to be on those spots, and if there is less rubber here, then that means worse durability. But if there's more rubber and more like tread and stuff like that, then of course that means better durability, and that's what it looks like here in the KD15. So where the ball of your foot is, we can see a little bit more rubber. There are some holes as well, which is kind of weird, maybe to save on a little bit of weight. Of course, as you guys all know, the midsole and outsole take up a lot of the weight of the shoe. And then also here in the heel on the medial side, we have a little bit more rubber as well. So that is a great design. Of course, put more rubber where you need it for better durability. KDs have had really good traction. I mean, the KD12 was pretty bad for me, especially in the translucent outsole, because it wasn't a good performer on a dusty setting. If I was playing on a dusty court, I would slide around a lot. On a clean court though, it's really nice. The KD13 is just, it's amazing on anything, and same thing with the KD14, right? But as far as the pattern goes, it's been very different, right? And then the KD14, we just have like really long lines. And then here in the KD15, it's very different. And then in the heel, we have KD's logo. And then here in the middle of the outsole, we also have a midfoot shank plate, it looks like. And it's a very it's not a solid piece. So I wonder how sturdy it's gonna be. But on the actual shank plate, it says Air Zoom, right? So moving on to the cushioning setup. So of course here in the KD14 we had full length Cushlon and then a full length Zoom Strobel unit, right? But here in the KD15 they upgraded it a little bit. Now they're giving us full length React, guys. So React is awesome. I absolutely love it. React is one of my favorite foams just because it's very lightweight and also very bouncy. Like one of the bounciest foams that I've tried, and also it's super soft. It gives great impact protection, right? It has that softness from the foam, but it also has that rebound back and bounce, right? So a lot of foams, it's really easy to be soft, but I guess it's a little bit hard to make it bouncy. So a lot of the foams that I've tried aren't as bouncy, and React to me just has that nice bounce and rebound back, especially in the heel, just because Nike tends to make it a little bit thicker there. But anyways, yeah, so as far as the tech specs go, it says full length React, and I'm super excited about that. It says React and then Zoom Strobel. So of course that makes sense. Since the KD12 we've had Zoom Strobel, right? So KD12, KD13, and then KD14, and also like his past shoes, the KD11 was full length Zoom, the KD10 was full length Zoom, KD9 full length, KD8 full length Zoom, although it was segmented, and then the KD7 did not have full length Zoom, but it did have a Zoom unit in it, right? So of course, my guess is KD really likes full length Zoom Strobel, and maybe he's just getting old, right? Because also for me, I do like a softer cushioning set just because my feet, it's just easier on my feet and my knees, right? Although I don't like playing it all the time just because I like to have a responsive ride, you know what I mean? But just because I'm getting older and I want a little bit more impact protection and stuff like that, I definitely do like a softer foam. And full length React, I'm super duper excited about it, right? So looking on the lateral side of the shoe, it looks pretty exposed, right? So here in the forefoot, it's pretty exposed, and then also here in the midfoot and also in the heel, it's not that caged. I guess this plastic cage does come down a little bit in the heel to cage the React a little bit, but not all too much. And also I don't really mind the placement of the cage just because you don't want a whole lot of compression here on the heel on the lateral side, because it can lead to lateral instability if it's like a super soft foam here, right? The only place I don't like it is when it's in the back of the heel, just because you don't need stability right here, right? And when you're doing heel dominant strides, you want a little bit more compression here in the back of the heel, just in my personal preference. I'm not saying that's like the way it should be, it's just in my personal preference. So if you look at the back angle of the shoe, it is caged. The outsole does come up to cage the foam in the back of the heel, which I'm not a huge fan of, but I don't think it's gonna be terrible. Just like in the KD13, I mean, it did make it kind of clunky here in the heel, right? It had a rounded shape, which did help the overall heel to toe transition, but like there's no compression here, right? Especially like this is all rubber, so it's pretty clunky. Same thing with the KD12, right? But the KD14 was super smooth because of this cushion, right? So I wish they didn't cage the heel as much, but I don't think it's gonna be a huge deal. And also we have the number 7 because, you know, KD's number is 7. So yeah, it's definitely an upgraded version of the KD14, but we still have yet to see how nice the React is going to be, because Nike they always give us a different React in every single shoe, right? So for example, in their running shoes, React is super soft and it doesn't seem like they do anything to it, you know what I mean? But in basketball shoes, they seem to stiffen it up a little bit, right? So I feel like it's a little bit misleading sometimes when they do that, because it doesn't feel like React in the running shoes when I try it in like a couple of their basketball shoes. But I do like what they did in the PG6, just because the React in the PG6 actually does feel like React in the running shoes. It's super soft, there's a nice balance, there's good compression in the heel as well. So that's what I'm hoping the KD15 feels like, you know, the PG6 React, and that would be dope. But also it doesn't look that thick, you know what I mean? Like it looks, I guess maybe a little around the same as the KD14, right? So it'll probably still be soft. And then we have that full length Zoom Strobel unit, which of course is gonna be very, very bouncy. You're gonna get good compression and great step and comfort as well. So cushioning setup is gonna be awesome. I already know it. I just hope that the React is nice. All right, moving on to the materials. So the materials seem like maybe a little bit of an upgrade from the KD14. I mean, the KDs haven't had nice materials since the 11. The 11 had nice Flyknit, although it was pretty glued down. It was a little stiff. It was still Flyknit, right? And then we have the KD12, which is just screen mesh, which wasn't super nice. It was the quad axial flywire, remember that? And then the KD13 was like, you guys hear that? Pretty flimsy, very cheap material. It felt great on foot, it was thin, but it wasn't great for quality. And same thing with the KD14. It's like super thin. I love how it feels on foot, but just for quality, it's not great, especially for 150 bucks, right? And here in the KD15, it looks to be like a mesh or like a textile material, so I feel like it might be a little bit better quality than these 3 shoes, but also it doesn't look that great for quality, right? But I'm guessing it's still gonna be super thin. And as far as the tongue goes, so on the top view, the tongue does look pretty well padded, or maybe like around the same as the KD14. The KD14 was kind of nice, right? There is a like a good amount of padding here, not as much as like, you know, the Kyries or like the Zoom Freaks, but there's a little bit of padding there. It feels nice. And then also in the ankle area, there seems to be a good amount of padding as well. I mean, pretty similar to the KD14. Nothing too crazy, but I feel like it'll add for a little bit of coziness here in the back of the shoe. It also seems to have like a screen mesh over the graphic here in the tongue, which is a new aesthetic. And also, of course, we can't talk about the material and the upper without the cage. So we have a cage on the lateral and medial side of the shoe. The medial side, in my opinion, you don't really need, actually you don't need a medial cage, just because you're not moving this way. You know what I mean? You're moving this way, so you're gonna need lateral support right here on this side of the shoe, on the lateral side of the shoe, so your foot doesn't come out of the shoe, right? So on the lateral side it makes sense, but on the medial side it kind of doesn't. But I don't think it'll take up that much weight. It just looks like just a thin piece of plastic, but we do have a reverse swoosh, and it's more in the ankle area on the medial side. And then on the lateral side of the shoe, we have a swoosh on in the middle of the shoe, which I like, right? So in the KD13, we had an oversized swoosh, which I liked. The KD12, I also like the placement of the swoosh. The KD14, I really didn't like it on the strap. I just didn't really like the strap, or just the aesthetics of the KD 14. The KD15 looks a little bit better, and as far as the laces go, it seems like there's 2 points on the cage where the laces do go through it, but I don't think the laces go through only the cage. It looks like to me that the laces go through the material and then the cage. And also another thing that I do like about the KD15 is that it's a low top shoe with a very high heel tab. So of course, I mean, his last couple of shoes have been like mid tops, and I don't really mind it all too much just because it doesn't restrict ankle movement that much. But also, if I can just have like a low top shoe and just have like free movement in my ankle, then I would definitely prefer that a little bit more than just a mid-top shoe, right? So yeah, as far as the tech specs go, it definitely does look like an upgrade from the KD14. The traction, of course, we'll have yet to see. And then the upper looks pretty similar too. I mean, just like, it looks like a thin material, right? Here in the forefoot and here in the midfoot. And then for the padding in the tongue as well as the ankle area, it looks pretty similar as well. So I feel like the overall upper is gonna feel pretty similar to the KD15, but of course it is a low top. And for the aesthetics, I feel like it looks a lot better than the KD14, but in my opinion, a lot of shoes look better than the KD14. I'm not a huge fan of how the KD14 looks, right? But as far as aesthetics go, I feel like the KD13 definitely is like one of my favorites in this entire line. But the KD15 is definitely up there. It looks great. I definitely do like this colorway as well, and we're gonna have to see on other colorways too. But I'm definitely liking the overall silhouette, and also a lot of you guys seem to like it on Instagram as well. There were a good amount of like fire emojis. This looks great. There were some that didn't like it, but I feel like a majority of the people, or a majority of you guys, like the KD15 aesthetically and also are very excited about the tech specs, and as am I, right? But anyways, there is the KD15. Tell us your thoughts down in the comment section below. It should be coming out soon in a couple of months. KD basically debuted it, and we have official images already. So anyways, that about concludes this video. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.